warning, this video is going to mention miscarriages. So if you have a problem with that, I will give a warning to when it's going to start. So if you have sensitivity, please click off at that time. Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Vita Luca, and well, you know, this is my channel. I have filmed this video like 3 times now, and I've always just been like missing information or leaving something out because I couldn't find the information. And so when I was editing my last one that I made, I found the information. And so now I'm going to give you a proper video that you need, maybe, if you even care. Anyways, this is a follow-up to my video of my benign congenital hypotonia story. And yeah, so this is what my genetic test results came back for. So basically, I had 3 tests done. I had a test that looked at my chromosomes just like from a glance, like they just looked at, counted them, made sure everything was there. And then I had another test where they went further in depth with that, like with looking at them to see if anything was missing or if there was any abnormalities in any of the makeup of any of them, something that they couldn't just see at first glance. And then the third test, my husband and I got tested looking at 77 recessive genes that would cause 60 common genetic diseases. So these included things like cystic fibrosis, spinal atrophies, hearing and vision loss, etc. They were looking at normal, healthy adults to see if they were to have children, if there could be potentially something that could cause the child to not be healthy, basically. So of course, if you have any of those, you're not less of a human at all, and your life isn't worth anything less. You still deserve to be happy and thriving, and I hope you can with any condition that you do have. And if there's anybody out there watching this whose child was born with hypotonia or developed hypotonia or something happened, I hope that this can possibly help you find something as to what might have caused it. And I would extremely recommend getting genetically tested to either find the issue or at least know that it's not from there so that you can then find the issue. So let's just get into this. My genetic results came back, and I am completely normal and healthy, and my children will not have hypotonia. At least they shouldn't. I have 46 chromosomes, and I'm an XX female, so I am a cis female, and I know this. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong there. So now the only way that I could have had hypotonia would have been to environmental factors, which I discussed in my video, which you can see here. You can go and watch that, see what the other causes might have been from. Those would be the only way that I could have ended up like that now. It would have just been the environmental factors, whether it was abuse-related or just due to the complications in delivery. Potentially the medication that my mother was on, though the geneticist did say that they have risks, but they would have been very, very, very low for them to have caused that. So getting these tests done really didn't help me, but it might help you, which I still really recommend it. And if you need a place to go for genetic testing or even IVF treatments, anything like that, I would recommend coming to the Czech Republic because they are reasonably priced. Like, they are extremely cheap in comparison to countries like the United States and Canada. Because even though Canada has public health care, sometimes you can get tests covered, but you don't tend to get IVF treatments covered. That tends to be a private thing. And so therefore you would have to pay out of pocket for those. So there are some circumstances where your insurance might cover them, but I would say most wouldn't unless you're paying for a private insurance. So if you do need to get IVF treatment or genetic testing, the Czech Republic for a consultation with the doctor is $70, 70 Canadian dollars. And for IVF, I believe it's I'm going to just shoot high and say it's 2,500 euros. I'm pretty sure it's less than that for one of your own embryo. If you need somebody else's, I think it gets cheaper, to be honest. But if you would like, I'm going to leave a link to the clinic that I went to below, and you can go and surf their page, look at pricing, look at anything that you want to look at, really, and check them out, because they're a great clinic. I really loved the professionalism, and I loved everything about them. And even though my genetics came back saying that I'm normal, the geneticist still recommended that if I were to become pregnant, to go back for an ultrasound screening test with them, and they will check the fetus and just be sure that everything will be fine and normal from there. They'll check for like Down syndrome, anything like that. They'll look for floppiness within the baby itself as well. So that's definitely what I will be doing. I'll be going back when I become pregnant and have them look at the baby, as well as my own gyno and OBGYN. So that's those two tests. Everything's fine. Now, the test where they tested both my husband and I, it's funny. I'm not the issue here. But my husband doesn't like me talking about him on YouTube, so I'm going to be very quick with this. So in his test, the only thing that he had an issue with that I'm going to discuss is that he is a carrier for familial Mediterranean fever. He has the less severe, less at-risk type. So the familial Mediterranean fever really is just for those who will have this in their genetics are from the Mediterranean area. But Eastern Europeans have this second type that's not as bad. Like the doctor was saying, the worst thing that might happen is that he'll develop rheumatoid arthritis, which I think is fairly common in old people anyways. Well, not like fairly common, but like old people tend to get this anyways, like after a while, right? And so that's what he was saying. Like the worst that you'll get is this. You can still live a normal, healthy life. You won't really feel the effects of it at all because you have this thing. And then you're just a carrier of it, so you really won't be bothered by it. And then because I don't have it, if we look at those Punnett squares that we all did back in biology, that doesn't really show genetics, but gives a nice way for kids to have fun with genetics. Because trust me, genetics is so much more complicated than those Punnett squares we were taught. But if we were to do that way, and if we were to have kids, we would have 2 kids that would be carriers and 2 kids that would be completely fine and healthy and wouldn't have it at all. So, and even being a carrier is not as bad as directly having this. And I believe there's treatments and stuff that you can do for it as well. So I'm not Eastern European. So my husband was really lucky by not marrying an Eastern European woman. But I will leave a link into the description below so you can read up more on familial Mediterranean fever if you want to. The way that it's going to describe it is going to be a lot more severe than what my husband or my children would ever experience because it's a different strain that he has. But this will just be for the general one that a lot of people in the Mediterranean might experience. Disclaimer. If you cannot handle discussion of miscarriages, child loss, bad news, anything, click off now. Go. I'm not kidding you. Leave. We are going to be discussing miscarriages, child loss, potential loss, everything. So if you have issues, I'm giving you 3 seconds to leave. Go. Okay? I think they're gone. I hope they're gone. If you can't handle this, please be gone. So what came up in mine? In my 77 recessive genes, a lot all form around me having extremely high-risk pregnancies and a lot of potential miscarriages. So how he broke down these, because I have these 3 things, ANXA5 M2 haplotype, Mthfr Deficiency, and FSH Polymorphism Fshr 680 ASN. These all have high risks of having miscarriages. And how my doctor explained to me was, one, was I don't convert folic acid into the proper amino acid that it should be, which I'm a carrier of that, so it wouldn't really affect me. But when you read into more about it, that's where you can have potential complications in your pregnancy, which might lead to miscarriage. Or just potential complications in your pregnancy that could lead to who knows what, really. Really, they just say you are a higher likelihood of having complications in your pregnancy, which I always assumed I would have complications in my pregnancy just because of how petite I am. I am 4'11" and a half inches, like 4 feet and 11 and a half inches, and I am 151 centimeters, and I weigh anywhere from 38 to 42 kilos. 42 is a little high for me, though, like really. Or 88 to like 99 pounds. I'm just going to shoot high because I was at 1.99 pounds. I haven't been back there since. Yeah, but because I'm a carrier of it, I don't need to take different medications for when I'm pregnant. So not that big of a deal. And then the other one was explained to me as I'll have a higher likelihood of having miscarriages. But because, again, carrier of it, he's seen lots of people been able to have children without the need of help to be able to do it. And they usually have 1 or 2 healthy children before they actually require assistance. And then the other thing, I fully have it. And basically it means I am really high risk if I were to have IVF treatments, in vitro fertilization treatments. If I were to go through with them, I would be extremely high risk due to the medication. I would most likely have adverse reactions, but I can still get them done. I just have to be watched, which is great because in my last video, I was wanting to go through IVF treatments, and I was like, if this was a genetic thing and I had to genetically make my children, I'd be happy to do that, and then just like get the egg implanted and live my best life doing in vitro fertilization. Yeah, I'm extremely high risk, so grateful that I don't have to go through that anyways, because now I'm just like, if I don't need it, I won't do it. Simple. So let's just get more in depth with what I have. So ANXA5M2 haplotype. Don't mind me, this is not my typical English. I'm not going to sound like a native speaker anyways. But this gene encodes a protein, ANXA5, forming a protective film on the surface of the villi of the placenta. Haplotype M2 ANXA5 associated with decreased protection of protein and an increased tendency of blood clotting in the placenta is formed by 4 variants. I'm not going to read them all. That are inherited together. Blood clots in the placenta can reduce the quality of nutrition of the fetus and can lead to complications of pregnancy. See, says complications of pregnancy could mean loss, may not mean, might be like low birth weight, like we don't know, right? It just says complications of pregnancy. So the M2 haplotype status of both partners together with immunologic, I'm going to just leave that there anyways. Status of female partner, antibodies against NXN and antiphospholipid antibodies can affect IVF treatment. So this is also something going against me for IVF treatments, potentially. So basically with this, you to be healthy with this and to not have it, your gene would be a W-W. If you fully have it, you're M2-M2. I am M2-W, so I'm a carrier, okay? So potential risk, potential not, we don't know until I get pregnant and have a child, right? My husband, WW, he's fine. The Mthfr Deficiency. So this gene provides instructions for making an enzyme called methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, which involves converting the amino acid homocysteine to methionine, and I'm going to just put these words here. Carrier test is targeted on C677T polymorphism of the Mthfr gene, which in the homozygous state significantly reduces enzyme activity. And then when you're deficient in the methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, it results in elevated homeocysteine blood and urine levels. And then elevated levels is a known risk factor for cardiovascular disease and thrombosis, which, luckily for me, my husband is a C/C, which is normal, but I am a T/C, or T/C, sorry. My husband is a C/C, so he's fine, and I'm a T/C. So I just carry this, which, if you look at my family history, it makes so much sense because everybody has heart problems. Like every single person. I would go to ultrasounds and they would look at like this part of my body, which I don't know exactly what's there. And I don't know what they see when they look there. But they always look at it and they go, well, it's not a problem yet, but it could be. Techs, so they can't say anything anyways and they can't diagnose me. And all the doctors find it okay, but the techs never do, and they just stare at it forever, and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, I don't know, I've never been diagnosed with it. It's only you guys that see it. The doctors don't actually see it. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's at all related, so don't come for me for that. But a lot of my family do have heart conditions and everything, so I could see why I'm a carrier of this, and they might fully have it. Like, really, I could believe that. And now the thing that I do have. It's the Fshr polymorphism Fshr680ASN. So, the Fshr gene encodes a protein acting as a receptor of follicle-stimulating hormone in ovarian and testicular cells. Binding capacity of FSHR and general sensitivity to gonadotropins is affected by a single nucleotide polymorphism, SNP, changing the amino and serine, SER, to asparagine, ASN, at position 680 of the FSRH protein chain. So that's why it's the SER to 680 ASN. So you're changing that protein at 680 into ASN, right? The genotype SER 680 SER is a wild homozygote with the population frequency of 18% is associated with a lower sensitivity of the FSHR to gonadotropins. Genotype ASN 680 ASN, that's the one that I have, is associated with a higher sensitivity of FSHR to gonadotropins. The ASN 680 ASN homozygotes have a lower relative risk for polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, as well. So, if there's any benefits out of all of this, I have a less likelihood of developing PCOS. Found out may not be able to have children, might suffer a lot of miscarriages, and because of this, having the sensitivity to gonadotropins, I can still get IVF treatments, but I do have a higher likelihood of having reactions to the medication that they give you, because the medication for infertility is gonadotropins. And so because I have a sensitivity to gonadotropins, I might, if I had to go that route, I'm going to have a little bit of issues with the medication, which, again, doctor said you can still do it. We just have to monitor you a lot more. So what I've learned from all of this is if I'm going to have kids, I want to really, really, really be sure that that's what I'm wanting to do. And you bet if I get pregnant, I will be here on my YouTube channel talking about it. Like, whole 9 yards. Like, we will be making video, like, my entire pregnancy would just be, like, videos about me being pregnant. Like, really, that's all my channel would be. Everything. First trimester, second trimester, if I even make it to the third trimester, really. But, like, I have friends who are in the nursing, like, they're in the nurse field, and I have another friend who was a paramedic, and they look at me and they go, if you can even carry to 37 weeks, get induced and just have the baby then. Like, if you even make it that far, because a lot of them look at me and they're like, you're going to be, like, delivering a lot sooner. And I'm just like, I hope, because I know so many women who get to like 30 some weeks and they're just like, I want the baby out. I want it out of me. And so, but basically, relatively, I'm fine. I will just be having high-risk pregnancies, which I could have told you that without going to a geneticist. But yes, if you do need any genetic work and your country's too expensive, they don't want to pay for it, whatever, I recommend coming to the Czech Republic. Again, the initial consultation with the geneticist was $70 for me and my husband because we did this carrier test. But if you were just wanting to do your child or whatever yourself, then it's just $70, 70 Canadian dollars. And then the 3 tests that I got done themselves, they were 10,000 crowns was how much they charged my insurance company for doing these tests, which if you're not on Visa Pay, they can't do that for you, so you will have to pay out of pocket. So I'm going to just give a ballpark range for those who are not covered by insurance to get this stuff done. That it'll be anywhere from 600 Canadian dollars to, say, 1,500 Canadian dollars. I cannot see it being more than that. Like, I cannot. I don't think they would do that. And then even then, you may not need all the tests anyways that I got. So, but the carrier test was the cheapest portion of it. So the full genetic testing, it was quite expensive. It took 3 months for them to deliver it to me. I had my follow-up on November 5th, and now you're seeing this video because it just took me forever to film it and edit it and everything. So I'm sorry. I wanted to give you all the information, and I couldn't find it for the longest time. And then when I was editing the video, I found it all. So I was just like, we'll scrap what I made. We'll remake it. And I'm sorry for the length if it's really long. But I'm going to just leave it here. If you like the video, please like it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please ring the notification bell. I did finally fix that. So please do it. And also, I don't want to put this at the end of my video, but like, I'm sorry I forgot at the beginning, but like, thank you to my 103 subscribers. Please, like, join me more on this journey that I'm doing with discovering what I want to do on my YouTube. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. And YouTube is going to recommend you my benign congenital hypotonia video. So if you didn't watch that, please watch it. And also, YouTube will offer you something here that's specifically for you. So, see ya. Bye.